Hi everyone, welcome back to a special edition of my Octopod. Again, we're back on video this time, so you get to see our lovely faces. And we're here for episode 2. Episode 1, we talked about futures and AI and the big demand that that's driving. But now we're here to talk about a lot more real and tangible things for everyone who's working in the technology and IT sector. Because these problems haven't gone away. Some of these things that we've built over the last 5, 10, 15 years haven't just magically gone away because the board has asked us to do AI. So we're going to be a lot more grounded in this conversation. Again, joined by Darren from Nutanix on this conversation. So Darren, do you want to just let everyone know who you are, what you do?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rob. My name is Darren Woolard. I'm a field CTO at Nutanix. My daily job is talking mainly to customers, prospects, partners, distributors, everything about Nutanix, but also about the industry, sharing all of the insights that I hear from all of my conversations with everyone else. Because Rob, everyone's in the same boat of trying to find answers and solving very similar problems, but just in different ways. So mainly talking, Rob, that's pretty much what I do. And here we are again, talking.
Talking into you, that's pretty much what I do as well. So yeah, we're very well suited, which is great. So we're going to get real, I think, and talk about things that are really impacting IT operations on a day-by-day basis, because these problems haven't just gone away. But you had a great analogy and viewpoint, I think, on what you think the IT landscape has turned into.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a great framing to start this conversation.
Yeah, that's a good one, isn't it? Yeah. So the Escher architecture, as I threw at a customer just a few weeks ago, and the artist Escher is very good at playing with perspectives. If you've ever seen any of the paintings, you're trying to follow the whole bigger picture, but when you hone in on stairwells or anything on there, your eye gets drawn to different areas. And I just see that where IT has come through many adoptions of new technologies, new architectures, revolutions in how to do something with a new vendor, but it's just introduced this complexity, this multiple layer, and this is this whole thing. And now we look at the data center and we just see it's just complexity basically, and we need to kind of stand back from that and then adjust how we look at what the needs of the business are, and really not let IT do a lot of the solving. I would say IT tend to run the business many years ago. Certainly in the early days when I was in IT design, infrastructure, architecture, business just said they wanted to do something and then suddenly something happened. But that's not really the case now. The business is very demanding and wants to know what's going on, the financial implications, relevance to the market, data sovereignty, AI, all these other big topics that we're talking about. The business really has a foot in every decision that's been going on, which I said happened many years ago. So lots of layers, lots of complexity, drives some very strange operational challenges when it comes to people, licensing, where the software is being controlled and maintained, who's doing this. I think we need to kind of step back and just say, this is just one big, expensive way of functioning IT for an organization. We should go back to having a simplistic platform. Take a public cloud provider as an example. No one really knows what goes on behind the scenes, but it's pretty reliable. It's very easy to consume. Wide enterprises don't have that simplicity throughout.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do that, of course, but it does mean taking a big step back and then starting getting many other areas.
Yeah, I think we'll touch on maybe an opportunity for that as we go forward. But I think that complexity map is certainly something I see all the time as well. And I see it in cloud natives now. Yeah. You look at the service mesh of a cloud native and it's like, even they're looking at it going, we don't know what all that does.
No.
And it wasn't the whole point of being cloud only to be simple and easy to consume. And we've created monsters there.
Yes.
We've created monsters on premises.
Yes.
We've tried to create hybrid monsters that are just as ugly as what comes out of it. And it's almost grown by accident rather than by design from that side of it. We call it the sort of hype cycle challenge. It's like, hey, I've got something new. You need to do this new thing. It'll be the answer to all your problems. Trust me, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then 5 or 6 years later, there's another new thing that comes up. And two things happen, I think, then. One, the new thing comes out and everyone says, come do the new thing. And half the world goes, okay, I'll do that.
What about the old one, though?
But then the other half is that someone then says, well, I'll make the old one better as well. And then you get these two teams. Or we saw it probably a decade ago. Here's the cloud team and here's the traditional data center team. And they were they talk to each other.
Yes.
And it didn't work that actually the cloud team had worked out loads of great automation and orchestration stuff.
Yes.
But maybe didn't have the governance and control to operate in a stable way.
Yes.
The on-prem team had the processes, the stability, the operating model, but we're doing things hand-cranked.
Yes.
To put them together, we're starting to see it a little bit, but not as much, to your point, because trying to combat the legacy, the historical, it's really hard work as we go forwards.
And also at that time, just in that kind of period of example you gave there, was the idea of a hybrid operating model. But network connectivity, technology really didn't enable it. The concept was there. A bit like when cloud as a concept came up in, was it 1996 by Compaq, I think. No one had an idea of what was even going to be, what public cloud or cloud computing as a whole was going to be. I think we're now in a world where a hybrid or multi-hybrid cloud operating model is acceptable as a working practice, as a functioning architecture. But so many organizations are still in that older world of technology. The exact type of example you gave, new shiny thing, but old shiny thing hasn't gone away, and the business is still using that, and they will never depart. So, that's...
And you do that 4 or 5 times over. So we have mainframe to physical server to virtualization to virtual machines on public cloud to containers to AI.
Yeah.
And suddenly we've got 5 or 6 waves of this within one business.
Yeah.
And the poor IT team's just been stretched.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to manage all of it at once to the same levels of service. And it's like, you can't do it.
That's it. And just as you just mentioned, all those core areas there, then there are proprietary versions of those, like containers. It's, we talk about it as though it's the CNCF containers, but there are so many vendors that have their own proprietary versions. So once you adopt that won't work with another version, and more complexity again.
Yeah, and we even see it in, the cloud natives we touched on earlier. I've seen customers going, look, I absolutely love my pick cloud vendor A environment. I've got no desire to move, but I'm starting to get worried about what would happen if I needed to move.
Yes.
So we've had customers tell me in the last few weeks that we tried to spin up an environment in our favorite cloud provider and got told no. Yeah. No capacity available in region.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It's like, I thought cloud was infinitely scalable. I think they're bringing some of that reality back. Well, they are just a data center run by somebody else, so they do still have some level of capacity requirement. So what happens if I need to take that application architecture and run it in a different region or on a different cloud?
Yeah.
Well, I can't because it's intrinsically tied to services.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're starting to see this. We need to break the model and try and do something different. But it's not easy when you've got 2 decades of history to unravel at some point.
Exactly. And we think about our big hyperscaler giants who have their own portfolio of services, 150, 200, however it may be, in their own marketplace. And they would have used their own professional services to help customer maybe bring new products to life, shop fronts, whatever it might be. But it is all very much tied to that platform. So when they want to change through economics, regulation, mergers, acquisitions, that really can force the hand of change. Then what do they do? And how do they get out? You need a very generic layer. That's the true kind of more that distributed hybrid platform across multiple locations. Yeah. And easy operating models.
And you mentioned the hybrid model and connectivity earlier on. And I think that dream of portability has been the sort of nirvana everyone's wanted to get to over the last 10 years, say. And we always felt that the virtual machines were the sort of constraining construct on making that happen, because let's face it, picking up a virtual machine and moving it somewhere isn't the easiest thing, either from speed or from network connectivity, IP addressing, firewalling, security, etc.
Yeah.
And I think containers was supposed to be the answer to that.
Yeah. Okay.
That was supposed to be the new way of doing things.
Yes.
But I've seen so many customers now tell me, well, we built this container environment, but it's just as rooted to where we built it as my virtual machines are rooted to where I built them.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we've anchored it in so many native services that I can't pick it up and move it.
Yes.
So we just built the same problem, just in a different way.
Yeah, and also I was just thinking about containers, the kind of the industry pressure for organizations to say, we're now using containers, how that might look on a golf course or whatever the meeting might be. It sounds trendy and great. Although the ecosystem behind that, I believe, has a maturity issue, which leads to science projects, custom builds.
Yeah.
And that's fine. There's so many open source projects you can create your Kubernetes environments, your containers, everything, and you can run it all until that person then goes on holiday and it doesn't work. Then what happens? So this is also another interesting thing. People say they're in this new world of working, but they still have virtual machines. They will never be going away because actually containers run really, really well from virtual machines. Linux ones, admittedly, but that's maybe another topic for another conversation. But a very complex environment I think we find ourselves in today.
No, it makes sense. So, what's the challenge?
Yeah.
I'm going to throw another one in there, hypervisor choice. Which will obviously be close to the conversations you're having a lot, given some of the options you have in the portfolio. But how are you seeing them conversations evolve over the last few months? And is it done now, or do you think it's something that's going to sort of project out for the next 5 years, probably still?
Yeah, I'm going to call out the elephant in the room, and I have to mention VMware, the global giant, and that it has been for so many years through Broadcom as it is now. I would say that one of the standout observations from my conversations, putting the licensing costs aside, and just to be open, not every customer has been faced with this horrendous new build.
Nope.
It's not the case. But for the ones who are looking to change because of concern that something might happen that could impact them, the processes, the way IT is built or underpins the business now needs to be changed. They built it around a VMware ecosystem.
Yeah.
So when someone says, oh, Nutanix, apparently you do a hypervisor, we say, well, yeah, we do platform. It has a hypervisor, but we don't, lead with that. But we could just swap it out, or we could swap it out with one of the others out there. But
not that simple. Yeah,
absolutely can't. There's too much complexity that's been built over the years, and it's talking complexity a lot in this conversation. But again, it's just another classic example, really. So from the conversations I have, it's not really about a migration or a transformation project. It's the reassurance and actually giving the customer the confidence that when they do make the change from that VMware environment, that the way that their IT organization is going to be different in the way it functions. Yeah. Don't replace, actually use this as a point to move forward. And maybe you can use lesser skilled people. You could take some of your highly skilled people and put them into the business to do more projects, which makes the business more competitive. Very different angles you can play out this as well. Yeah. So that's what I'm seeing with the conversations. And one of I always took, like an analogy. Another one is around this. If you're buying a new car, obviously Rob gets paid an awful lot of money, so you're going to be buying flash new cars all the time. You're going to have the other one on the driveway. So you have your new one first, and you're happy it's been arrived and delivered, but then you need to sell the old one. So that's I go with maybe Nutanix Cloud Platform, new, but you still need to get rid of your old VMware. And there's that holding time before you sell that second car. It's going to have to go onto Auto Trader or eBay or wherever it's going to be. You're going to have to pay 2 lots of insurance, 2 lots of emissions tax, everything. And it's reminding customers that dual vendor strategies is an okay thing. You're allowed to have multi-vendor strategies as well. This is a good time to review a whole environment, not just about a rip and replace of a hypervisor.
And I think you're right. It's not really just a hypervisor conversation. It's a platform and ecosystem. Conversation.
The public cloud only conversations, but you must have those ones as well. Where customers have got all in on one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and we have the same conversations. Is that what's the risk of that, and what's the cost of that, etc.
Yeah,
and in some cases it's 100% right. In some cases we need to have a rebalance, but that's just the reality of where things are. But I think we think about what's happened this year around cost and supply chain.
Yeah.
And you were talking off camera with me around, customers looking at extending warranties and life cycles and third parties and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely seeing that.
I think there's an opportunity here to think more strategically about everything we've just talked about. So 10 minutes of problems and challenges. What do we do about it?
Yeah.
So I think, and there is no single answer, because if there was, we'd all be mega rich. But, that isn't where we are today. But I think if the option is we're going to extend the warranty on the compute for 18 months to give us some breathing room on the price rises.
Yeah.
And that means that now our software and hardware renewals are in the same year.
Yeah.
And we're only 6 months off the storage renewal now.
Yeah.
And the network is due at the same time, even though it's from a different team. And maybe there's a security budget we can pull in.
Yes.
To your point around the Escher architecture, there is a chance to almost put that to one side and draw something far more simplistic.
Of course.
And say that is our new operating model.
Yeah.
So it's not about rip and replace, but it's about operating model evolution.
Yes.
But an inflection point that's probably coming sometime in 27 and 28 for organizations, that when we now can replace the platform with multiple budgets and undo 2 decades of repetitive overwriting of strategies, etc. And I think people need to just spend a bit of time over the next few months to get their head above the parapet and really think about what does that new strategy look like. And that's something where I think together we can really help customers have that different thought process. And I think that's, where a lot of the time, I think from a Nutanix perspective, you're pushed by the market. You have to be talking about AI because that's the only thing that matters. We talked about share price in the last piece of that. But the reality is, the large part of your portfolio is actually about solving all the things we've just talked about.
Exactly that. Yeah, that's it. That's what we came to market. Everyone knows us as the HCI company. And that core architecture still is there today. There's no doubt about that. We just have a wealth of more platform products that support everything around that whole running of the data center, whether it's your automation, your network security, all the different things that we do there. VMs, virtual machines will always be around. I kind of joked about that. They're definitely going to outlive me. And they're going to be here for a long time. And all of our heritage of where we've come from and supporting that and the data operations, that's always going to be there. And we have that same operating model also for the new world, the containers and the AI and the language models and all those things. That's all part of what we offer as well. And you say, I like the kind of that truing up, the time for organizations to realize that maybe next year is a good time to start aligning budgets. I think also to add on to that, a time to look at what other options are out there, redefining design principles of how an organization runs. Our developers, how do they function in an organization? And obviously the enterprise architects can define what that's going to be for them. This is a really good time. Now, of course, it takes a lot of investment, time and money to do all that. I understand it. But it's going to need to happen at some point. Otherwise, we're just going to continue with this Escher architecture and it's just going to get even worse, really.
Yeah, 100%. So I think great time to really take a hard look at that architecture.
Yeah.
Look at the problems and think about, is there an inflection point coming where we could do something very different to set us up for the 2 decades to come? So I think the change over the next 2 decades is going to be far greater and more impactful than what we've seen in the previous 2 decades. So it's an exciting time. So thank you. What a great topic. Not all the answers, but I think working through them as a team is the important part of this conversation. So thank you everyone for listening. Hopefully that just gives you a view of some of the challenges we're seeing, some of the thoughts we've got around how we can possibly use some of the challenges in the market to drive change and deliver things in a different way. And with that, we're going to sign off for this episode, but please do join us again when the next one we are going to talk about sovereignty and regulatory compliance and how that's impacting architectural decisions. And if you didn't listen to it, please go back and listen to episode 1, all about AI and futures. So thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time.